A poop question, sir? Pecan pie. You're easily impressed. Germs.
I have more letters in my quarters. Would you like to read those as well?
Something to It's personal.
You asked a lot of interesting questions. I wish we had time to answer all of them, but if we did that, we wouldn't get much exploring done.
Let's go.
And I don't want to miss a thing. Oh, wait, no, that's not this isn't even the movie. This is something else, but has to do with an asteroid in space and we're drilling. But anyway, welcome to Enterprise at 8, gentlemen. This is Live Long and Podcast Star Trek Enterprise Rewatch series. It's been over 20 years since tonight's episode, Breaking the Ice, Breaking the Ice, aired, but we are just getting started. I'm Jody Simpson. Apparently, I've had far too much caffeine today. And my co-host tonight is no other than the man, the myth, the beard, the legend, Adam Woodward.
Hello.
How are you doing, Adam?
Greetings from snowy Burlington.
Yes, greetings from snowy Ontario for the most part. Well, at least lower anyway. Also joining us, Adam and I, of course, is our awesome producer, Live Long and Podcast's very own, Dave Mater.
Hello. Yes, I'm easily impressed, and I am ready to talk about Enterprise.
I'm easily impressed. Oh, wow, that's an intro.
Just like how that Vulcan was like, you're easily, because he's like, hey, you ever seen those Vulcan EV suits? And he's like,
yeah,
You're easily impressed.
yeah, exactly. And of course, guys, who could forget the person that started the petition to get Captain Archer Day with a banner and everything? Kevin Millard.
Yeah, I am definitely not easily impressed.
I'd like to thank you for your transmission.
Are we perhaps foreseeing what your opinion may be?
No, not necessarily.
All right, that's good. Anyway, tonight's episode, guys, is Breaking the Ice. This is the 8th episode in the series Enterprise from the first season. Trip discovers that T'Pol is transmitting secret messages to a Vulcan ship, which has been tailing Enterprise for weeks. And Captain Archer must rescue 2 crewmen from a crumbling comet. And he doesn't have Bruce Willis, guys. So what are we going to do here?
You could also think about, do we have Robert Duvall if you're going to go Deep Impact? I think
That's
the better
right.
of the two
one.
movies.
The better one.
Listen, we're not going to get into this argument because clearly both of you are wrong.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get
Armageddon is the inferior of the two. But
the inferior, is it? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but they just landed on this comet, kind of the same in the same style, but but I have to we can't bury the lead here, Jody. Travis Mayweather as a shuttle pilot, he again drops that shuttle into the ground upon takeoff.
Didn't he just do that? Didn't
he just did that?
He is literally the equivalent of giving your teenager the keys to the car. He's like, you don't do it. Like, it's such a bad idea to let Mayweather drive anything because
I thought he grew up on ships. Like,
he did, but he never drove them.
He never
apparently
landed.
This is the thing he's the best at. He's supposed to be the best at this.
He can fly, but he just can't land.
Yeah,
take off.
He's really good at. And you know what? You're on a big ice structure. I guess the first thing you should do is shoot off those thrusters. Seems like a fantastic idea. But anyway, what can you do? Anyway, this is, as I said, with our little banter before. Here we go. We already got. Oh, look, Sam's already here from Newfoundland. Awesome, Sam. Nice to see you. As always, it's going to be officially an adult in 2 weeks. Hey, good for you. It depends on how officially adult you mean, though. Like, officially you can drink, or officially you can buy a lottery.
If it's official, you get like a ribbon.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Oh, and we're back on that quote again.
A 3-hour tour. I got to get back to you on that one. I got a lot
of on that one, Sam,
in the fire at the moment. So
yeah, Sam always asking us that question, but
don't let me forget though. You know, if you stay on, one day it will happen. It will manifest.
Sam's going to be 18. Well, happy birthday to you, Sam. We appreciate it.
Birthday, an adult voting age
for sure. Adam, I want to build a snowman. Woodward. Yes, it's true. Adam does want to build a snowman. I'm pretty sure.
And that was not reference to the snowstorm. It's more this episode.
Yes, of course. Which will of
Icy
course, get
relations
into.
with the Vulcans.
Gentlemen,
Oh.
here's another episode where we do not trust the Vulcans. But in this case, I think what's really good about this episode, which obviously we'll get into more detail, is this is more of a character development episode than it is an actual event episode. Like the stuff that happens in the episode isn't all that exciting, but the characters, like for instance, you see the first reminiscence of Trip and T'Pol's relationship starting. Stuff like that. And you
when
also
they were
get-
rubbing each other with the oil and the germ with the
that
pile.
was completely for bio detox reasons.
That I would
Dave.
say the seeds were planted there.
I planted some seeds for sure.
I don't think he planted any seeds there. That comes
No,
later.
not yet, but that comes later. Yeah, for sure.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie. Maybe that's what he calls it. Anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, I want to know how you guys feel about this because I hated this episode the first time I saw this episode. I thought it was stupid.
What in particular did you hate about it?
You know what? I hated the whole sequence with Archer talking back to the children. I hated that entire
Oh.
sequence. I thought it was stupid. But you know what? Now I appreciate it and I understand why. So it's one of those things where, you know, I guess maybe the more times you see it, the better it is. But let's get your thoughts. Adam, first up. And apparently I have dogs fighting in my house.
So did I. That's why I was on mute.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, there was really good parts of this episode, and I really liked the Vulcan human relationship again. I think T'Pol again stood out. However, there was some parts of the episode which we already touched on. One of them was the whole trip to the asteroid, which I didn't love. Yeah, Mayweather and not Travis, the other
Reed.
thank you, are a little bit goofy together. I don't know if you guys have noticed.
yeah, it's almost like Reed is actually having fun with him where he doesn't have fun with anybody else. And that's something that does seem to keep happening in the show, especially the second season. I remember a lot of it in there, but we'll see
I
what
feel
happens.
like they left the ship and went to the asteroid and got to play. And especially when they built the snowman.
Well, I think Reed is also happy when he gets to blow shit up. And I think that's kind of what his thing is. Like he really wants to blow stuff up. Like that's kind of his goal in life. I'm almost positive that's what he signed up for. Like he's literally like, Starfleet, well, can I blow shit up? Okay.
He wants to make snowmen.
Yes, he also wants to make snowman with Spock ears on them, which I think is also great. But if you notice, actually, one thing I like about that scene is that they put the Spock ears on after Archer tells him that they're being observed.
He's like, "Who's the sculptor?"
Yeah.
Yeah, you know we're being
That's kinda
watched
funny.
here. Let's go
But-
back to Vulcan High Command. He's like, yeah, I'll take it right down. And then he does it. He doubles down on it. He goes more here. So
Yeah.
Reed is this interesting kind of guy to me because he's like middle management, right? He's like he's above the ensigns. So when with Mayweather and Hoshi's like, listen up, ensigns. Like I'm
Yeah,
the
smarten
boss
your
here.
ass up. Yeah.
But then around the others, he's kind of like, what's going on, sir? You know,
Yeah,
he's like,
I don't
"Can
get
have
it.
another.
Why are things getting shot at? Yeah,
Right,
Yeah,
so
he's a weird character that doesn't really develop hard until probably the Makos come. I think is when you start seeing him in full light. But
Yeah,
Anyway.
like I think like I don't know what to make of him long term. He's kind of like this loner kind of a guy. Yeah, I think is what he kind of.
yeah, he almost to me reminds me kind of in a way Bashir. He's kind of outside of everybody else.
But
Like,
no
he's-
O'Brien.
He's not O'Brien. No,
He has
no.
no O'Brien. Like Bashir has an O'Brien. And,
Yeah,
and
I
Reed-
think Mayweather is kind of his O'Brien, but
Well, then
a
you
very
are in
useless
trouble.
one.
You are in trouble because Mayweather can't hold a torch to Miles Edward O'Brien.
well, I completely agree, and there's no statues of him either. But what can you do? Anyway, Kevin, what were your thoughts on
Well,
this to begin?
This episode's it's pretty good. It's boring, but good. Like
It is.
you're right. It's more of a character development episode. I got to say that scene with them talking to the kids though. I thought at the beginning of that, I'm like, oh, that's a neat idea. Like we'll find out about the ship through this, right? And then
We did, though.
You're right. It just goes so long, and then I get angry irrationally angry at Trip for for continuing to stop it because I just want it to be over.
Yeah.
And-
And the same thing.
Like the apology tour he goes on.
Yeah. But you have to look at it from Trip's point of view. Trip is on this ship because he wants to see new things. He wants to like rock this engine. He wants all this stuff to happen.
And it's his
and,
nephew's class.
and he's doing all this dumb shit he doesn't want to do. And it's driving him nuts. And
Yeah.
that's what I like about it.
You know, but about that scene though, I mean, I guess we'll talk about it in a moment, but it was very like, if you ever watch them talking from ISS or a shuttle, I mean, it was all the same questions even. They didn't even modify it. It was,
But we learned
But
some things about the toilets. Which is
but we
something
learned that
don't
from
learn.
the ISS.
A
already knew
poop
this.
question, sir?
But they take the waste and they make it into boots.
Yes.
Boots. They're literally wearing shit boots.
Or food. They didn't
This
talk
is
about that.
amazing.
Yeah, they didn't. Well, they had the protein resequencer. I think it's what's it resequencing. It's
Oh, Jody's going now.
We lost our host.
well, Adam, you're up then.
All right. So Dave, how about you? What did we think of
What subject were we on exactly?
just
On
the episode itself? What did you think about it?
It's really kind of a dull affair mostly. I think its most notable thing is that it kind of furthers along this T'Pol character arc with her whether she should get married or not. Beyond that, like it's kind of just goofiness. Just like this whole like let's make a video for the kids, but it's only funny now that I kind of know these characters a little bit more. I think because this is so early in the series, and they're not as endearing as they probably could be. It's like I think they do a good job. I think it's funny. I think Phlox is kind of funny. He's like, germs. Do you know how many pathogens are out there that can kill you? That could live in space.
Oh.
It's so there's some good funny dialogue here and stuff.
He was the one I liked actually.
Yeah, from that scene, I realized that Phlox should read audiobooks. Like, like I would listen to any audiobook where he was reading it as Phlox.
I'm Dr. Phlox, the ship's physician.
He's got a good voice. Okay, so the episode started off with the crew in the mess hall, I guess, eating dinner, and Trip has got pictures from his nephew, I think it was, in his class, and showing Phlox, and Phlox looked quite amused with these pictures. And then he calls T'Pol over. Hey, T'Pol, what do you think of these? And she doesn't look so amused. However, makes a crack about one of them, I think. But the scene for me in this whole, or the thing in this scene for me is when the captain said, "You may have noticed that we are not at warp anymore, and please go to a window." And I'm going, "Oh my God, this sounds like I'm on a plane. We're on a pleasure cruise." Look out the left window.
Over the left wing, you'll see a comet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Archer's Comet. Never discovered before.
Didn't he sound so pleased with himself?
He was very happy. He's like, "That's one big ball of ice, I gotta tell you." Yeah, he was really into it.
I'm
this
starting
was a big
to
thing
think
for him.
that really this show isn't that bad. I just the casting of the captain was just bad. Every time he's on, I can't stand him.
He very much lectures.
Not even in yes, he does lecture, but in like that scene with the Vulcan, he starts doing this like sing-songy thing that sounds weird. Like he's just awful.
Yeah, he's just not charismatic, and he's like, there's nothing endearing about him, and so you're constantly like, "Oh, what's with this guy?" He's going to sort of succeed despite himself, and the rest of the crew, I like, or I'm sort of ambivalent to, but I just don't think he works very well. He's the way they write him and the way he plays them, because comparing to all the other captains, he sort of takes a lot of the worst traits of them all and puts it into one.
But I like this episode. Like I liked T'Pol in this episode, her story arc. I didn't care about the asteroid at all.
Neither did she. She was so unimpressed. Vulcans don't think.
Vulcans don't care about this. This is
What are we
bullshit.
stopping for? That's right.
This is a big space rock. This is what we're going to look at.
And then,
But
you know, it was so funny. Again, Archer, why don't we tail it for a few? And he said, I was going to say a few hours. No, days.
Days. Why not? I guess it doesn't seem silly to me either. It seems like what else are they doing? I guess
That's true. What else are they doing? However, I just think, T'Pol and Archer are so far apart in this whole thing. And, she's like, not only is she unimpressed, she's got the Vulcan unimpression. You can tell that she's.
Yeah. The part I don't get about it is that she's the science officer. This is literally like a scientific mission.
And she's not curious at all.
This is nothing to her. This is like an inconvenience.
That's
It's
right.
even
It's
something that the Vulcans don't know much about. It's got this element that Vulcans don't know much about. And still she's like, whatever.
She's like, we've only ever detected trace amounts, but whatever. It's a big dumb space rock, and Vulcans think it's dumb. Why are you bothered with it?
Sorry. She just looks at these guys. I can just, if she did show emotion, I'd be like, oh my god, the biggest eye roll that you'd ever see across the top of her head. Oh, she's funny.
Jody, what do you make of that? This was a scientific endeavor, and she's the science officer, and T'Pol couldn't be bothered too. This mission was not getting her up in the morning.
So the whole point of that is to signify the fact that she is still on the Vulcan side right now. So, if you look at the end of this episode, the end of the episode clearly shows that she's starting to change, right? And it's signified by obviously what we'll talk about later. But I think obviously the whole thing is kind of stupid because she's the science officer and she should really be okay with this trace element that they barely know anything about. But
that part alone should be like, what the heck?
But that also shows the fact that the people who seem to think that the humans are arrogant and all that are just as arrogant, and they're just arrogant in a different way, right? So I think it's supposed to show the balance between the two. So at least that's my interpretation of it.
I think that's what this whole episode is about. I mean, they usually show the humans change, or like Archer changing to Paul's mind, but this time it's Archer stomping his feet at the end, like, I don't want help from Vulcans. And to Paul convincing him that he's being a child, which I enjoyed that.
Yes. Yeah, me too. That was probably anytime when T'Pol basically kind of shoves something down his throat. I love it because at the beginning he is a dick and he eventually does progress really well, especially in the second and third season. I think is where you really start to see his character go better. But again, we're only 8 episodes in, guys, so you have to remember this is character development, and this is something that Star Trek, everybody talks about Star Trek having great character development, but it really doesn't in a lot of the series. Like TNG barely had character development.
Until season 4.
Until about season 4. I think you're right. Yeah. And when you think about that, at least they're starting it, which is something that we can't say about pretty much any other, with the exception of maybe DS9. DS9 had some decent character development near the end of the first season. But to me, I think this is actually writing, even though I can't say it's the greatest writing in the world.
But why
this is the first one that isn't Bierman, though.
Why is the captain of Earth's first Warp 5 ship and this big deal? Why are we starting so low? Why is what you couldn't get a better guy?
I think you don't forget his father's influence that you can't.
Nepotism. I think there's nepotism here.
Oh, yeah.
We're we gotta get this Archer. This Archer name is important, so we gotta the legacy.
And I think it's like the early space days. Here on Earth is. There was a group of core people that came up and did the initial missions, whether just going around an orbit one time and then going to the moon and then doing more. But it was essentially a group of 20 guys, that went from start to finish and then before the program ended. Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
definitely.
So I think it mirrored that a little bit too, because, we meet another captain later, a couple episodes on, who I found very interesting. And would have liked to have seen more of that, but
that's the sister ship, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Columbia,
yeah.
So
comes later.
We came back out of this. So, T'Pol's basically dismissed this. And then the next scene, Jody, is they're back in the mess hall. We've already talked about the first time in the mess hall.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
back in the mess hall, and she's grabbing some green tea. And
Yep.
you know, T'Pol's very fit, and you know, takes care of herself.
Mhm.
And you know, she can see, you know, then Trip again. He's going for his pecan. Dave, please.
Oh, sorry.
Dave, I'm
Pecan pie.
Pecan
disappointed. That one should be right on your button. We're gonna say that a lot.
I was getting the picture while of him
Yeah,
eating
I
the
see.
pecan
Okay.
pie.
I'm gonna excuse you this time, Dave. But
yeah.
You
producer,
know, he's like
you need to step
everybody
it up.
else. He likes his food. He likes to, you know, I mean, he paired it with milk. Why not?
May not be good for the body, but it sure is good for the
For the
soul.
soul.
But we also learned in this scene is a lot more pivotal than people realize, because this scene also tells us what Trip's favorite things are and how T'Pol is now going to establish that, and she's going to embrace those things, which means that we already have some sort of relationship starting to brew, which I think is nice as well.
So, yeah, she's trying not to notice him.
Well, I don't think she's not trying to notice him. I think she's just going about what she normally does. Vulcans don't believe in talking during food. Or eating or any sort of consumption, right? So it makes perfect sense.
She's also joining him. I mean, that's an open door in itself.
Yeah, so she's starting to progress, which again, I know this is foreign, but this is character development in the first season of a Star Trek series. I know it's weird, but let's give it a try.
Jody, I don't disagree with you.
I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just saying.
I just find she is very funny. You know, when you look beyond just because. Like, it's like when we were talking about Spock, like Leonard Nimoy it must have been very difficult to act in these roles. Like you can't, like, the outtakes must be hilarious because they have to burst into laughter at some point.
You know what? She probably holds it better than even Leonard Nimoy did. And Leonard Nimoy he did fantastic. Like, and you know what? He did bring a little bit of, well, of course, but you know, obviously when you have the milestone, I guess you can kind of do that, right? When you're at the beginning, but I also think he did bring a little bit of humor to it, and a little bit without even really trying. I think he did, and she's definitely going to do that later on. Later on, she gets way funnier, which is more interesting, I think. But so here's my question: how do we feel about Trip and T'Pol? Kevin, actually, let's start with you first. If Trip and T'Pol end up getting together, which at this point is going to happen, but you don't know that yet.
Already.
Yeah, you know that, but as a first-time watcher, does
I like
make sense
actually, though? It does make sense.
Because they really started as polar opposites, right? Like he didn't have anything to do with her,
right?
And even a trust was still here in this. Like there was still a trust issue in this episode. Hence the message and him having to decode it, right?
Yeah, but he was ordered to decode that.
He wanted to, though. He brought it to his attention to begin with.
Yeah. So, and then he did the right thing. He told her that he wrote it or read it, and she responds emotionally because Vulcans are emotional.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, I got one of her response was pretty good.
I have more letters in my quarters. Would you like to read those as well?
I love that line. That line is so good.
But
she's
Vulcans
just like,
are not.
she's ripping them, but not ripping
like
them.
Some other time, maybe, or something like that.
Well, and later on, you know, we see him show up in her quarters, and he's like, "Oh, I've never been in here before." You know, it's like, it's almost like a gateway, right?
He's like, "This is a fire hazard." I like earlier when he was like about to confess to her, and he's like,
"Oh," and he's talking about the candle.
Totally by mistake that you weren't very proud of.
No.
No, I've never done that.
No. It never even occurred to me. But
And I love that eventually she's just like, "Would you get to the point?" Like,
yeah, like
Jesus.
I got other things to do. Like I was just dealing with this ensign who I was trying to train to do something, and you interrupted me for no reason. But anyway,
I think the relationship makes sense to me because the actors have a good sort of chemistry together. Like
they do. Yeah,
they play off each other well.
I think they're about the only ones, honestly, in the crew that even have a chemistry at this point.
They address it too in this episode. They're like, what if two people want to date? Is dating happening on Enterprise? And he's like, well, if two crew members like each other, they can. But, there's not much room here. People are sharing bunks and whatever.
The word gets around kind of thing. Yeah. So, but, like it, I agree with you, Kevin. I think it is. I think it's a good relationship. I think it's going to end up you're going to see more of it later on. The thing I like about their relationship, it never gets really gushy like it does with some of the other relationships in some of the other series.
That's because you get no
which-
emotion. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of it's almost like Spock dating. Like it's like you're like, oh, he's with that girl. Okay, well, okay, I guess. You're like, all right, well, fine, I guess.
You know,
But,
you can tell that she craves contact and a connection, but she doesn't have to have the over emotional side of it, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, there is a whole bunch of
I've been
comments I
married
can
for
make about
25
that.
years, by the way. So just
And you just better watch what you're saying, just in
Yes,
case somebody
where
might
is
be.
she?
I've been married for
Yeah,
some
yeah.
number of years. I don't even know.
Yes.
Yeah, well, let's not
But,
portray that any
Jody,
further.
you forgot something that T'Pol
What did
did
I
as
forget?
well. She also acknowledged the fact that there's a mineral on the comet or asteroid, or whatever it is, that the Vulcans, have interest in.
Yes.
She didn't have to do that.
No, she didn't. And I think the whole point of that was to kind of give a foot in the door to Archer.
Yes.
It was supposed to kind of get him to start talking with the Vulcans, start trusting them more, which clearly nothing has given them any reason to trust them recently, especially if we look at previous episodes.
But to your point, though, I think she is trying to bridge a gap as well and open doors for him, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's really what she's supposed to be, though. She is a liaison as well, so we have to remember that. So
she even tries to navigate that dinner, like for him. Like,
oh, the dinner scene is something else, but I don't think we're there. We're not really there yet, are we?
No.
Because I don't even know where we are because I got disconnected for a bit there. But whereabouts are we anyway?
kind of all
Where
over
are
the
we?
place.
Oh, okay. Well, people should
we're-
watch the episode anyway. Like, I should tell you play by play what's going on here. Like, come on, guys, watch the damn episode, and
we're
then
at
you
the
can
point-
understand what we're saying.
Yeah, but the point where the what's the ship called? Timur shows up.
Timur, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
The Vulcan ship. Okay.
so the Vulcan ship Timur shows up,
Which is
and
kind
at
of a
this
cool
point,
ship, by the way.
very cool actually. And they ended up, they even showed that ship in Lower Decks, or at least
Or a
one
version
that
of it.
class. Yeah, that class. Anyway, we don't know if it's the same ship.
We
but-
see it very at the end, I think. Here, right?
No, they showed it right at the
Beginning too.
Yeah, right at the beginning when it first pulled up.
Yeah, I'll see if I can.
But they
pull it
do
up.
show it at the end. But they
I
show
also
the ass
ha-
end of it at the end. But anyway, it is what it is.
I have a
Anyway,
little
the
model of it.
Vulcans
Of it.
show up.
There it is. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
there
it.
you go. Yeah, very, very cool. But anyway, it's Dave with the models, just in case, because
They would say, "Hey, can we see those engines?" And they're like, "That's classified, man. That's everything's classified."
Well, actually, I think Tripp said something along the lines of, "I'd love to get my hands on them nacelles," or something like that, or "I'd like to get into those nacelles," or something. I think if he's in the nacelles, he'll die.
Can we see that tractor
but-
beam? He's like, "No, it's classified."
That's right.
That's later on, though. That's later on. Don't give it away.
Simon Pegg did that sort of, like her ample nacelles as well. He always made jokes about that. So
Yeah, true. But anyway, so this ship shows up, and clearly it's Vulcan, and that is now rubbing Archer the wrong way because Archer believes that they're constantly watching over him. They're always babysitting him. So he's already got this idea that they're there just to spy on them. And then they, during this process, he exchanges a little bit of information with them back and forth. Oh, we're here to see the comet. And they're like, we saw that comet 2 days ago. You can't name it the Archer's Comet. What are you, stupid? But no, they don't actually say that. But that's what they implied, obviously, because Archer was going to name it, I'm pretty sure. Because I think Mayweather says it, doesn't he? He's like, oh, it's Archer's Comet. Because Mayweather's trying to get a promotion
Most
or something.
boring comet in the universe.
Yeah. It literally is. It's 82 kilometers wide, though, guys. That's pretty big.
I did think to myself, a good captain would say, you know what, who found it first on the sensors? They should get the name.
Not Archer, though. Archer. Yeah, Archer's Comet. That sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. And then he gets all like bummed out because like the Vulcans are like, we saw it 2 days ago. What are you, stupid?
I think here though the Vulcans are totally transparent as well, because they say we saw that 2 days ago, but they were only curious because they actually tell Archer, we're here observing you. Not-
yeah.
We
They
think it's
clearly
in
have
the
said that.
comic.
They're like,
We're
what are you guys doing?
looking at the space rock, and
Yeah.
going,
We
look
don't-
at some humans.
You're not
looking at
planning
the
on landing on that thing and drilling it, are you?
We don't give a shit about this rare comet that we know
That's
nothing about.
exactly right. It's like,
We're watching you, who we don't care about, apparently.
Yeah.
but
Totally
why
don't
would
care.
like it's like why would you even have interest in this? Like,
Yeah.
What is exactly?
You
What
guys
is
are
the
really
nature?
simple, eh? Like, you'd be like, the Vulcans are like, you guys are kind of like dogs, eh? Like, we can just throw like a little bone out there, and you guys can go chase that for a while. It's like- Hey, I actually think the statement that where he says, "Oh, we saw it 2 days ago," I think that's supposed to rub Archer. I think that was the whole point. Right?
oh yeah, it was a dig.
So yeah, he was being a dick, and he was a dick even throughout their dinner later on, which actually is the scene behind me now.
But was he?
So we're way
Or
ahead
was
of
he
time.
just being Vulcan?
I think he was being a little extra Vulcan.
I think it was a little bit too much. Yeah, I think because the Vulcans also know diplomacy. Like they're not.
Or they do in the future. Maybe they learn that from humans.
No, because they had diplomacy in First Contact. And
Oh,
that
yeah, I
happens
guess.
before this, right?
You're right.
This
So
particular
it's-
Vulcan, he wasn't.
He's a bit of a
like
dick.
humans. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a bit of a dick. All right, let's.
He
be
He was
honest.
probably ordered
Yeah.
to observe and didn't want to.
So, and of course, Archer is all up in arms because of this. They have their little tossy, my ship's bigger than your ship, whatever. But anyway, it's so he ends up saying what, their idea is. Oh, well, we're humans and we haven't seen anything this big, and we're going to go down there and we're going to have a look at it. You're welcome to join us, and the guy's like, no, we're just here to watch you. It's fine.
He's like, we've seen lots of comets.
Yeah, they're literally like the parking authority of the galaxy. Like that's really what they're at. They're like, oh, you're gonna stay in that red zone for a while? Oh, okay, no problem. We'll write you a ticket. But it's one of those things. So anyway, at this point, then somebody notices, which I think who was it? Trip? I guess Trip was doing maintenance or something like that, and he ends up seeing what appears to be some sort of hidden message or something like that, a transmission. And then for some strange reason, Hoshi tells him that it was a transmission that was an actual message. I don't know how the engineer wouldn't know that compared to the translator, but anyway, that's fine. But anyway, she sees it and she's like, oh, well, it'll need to be decrypted and all that. And it's like, oh, it's Vulcan, blah, blah, blah. And then, they end up translating it, and then Trip finds out, right? So
Yeah.
Trip finds out the information that we don't know yet. We don't find out until later on, but essentially it's a letter basically saying that the arranged marriage she's been given an ultimatum. T'Pol has to come back to Vulcan. If she doesn't come back, there's going to be consequences for that. So she's stuck, right? Does she go back to her arranged marriage, or does she stay on Enterprise?
And I think this is an important episode for her realizing that his integrity. He
absolutely.
didn't tell anybody. He didn't report it to the captain. He told her what he saw, and then that's where it ended. And Vulcans are very private. They will really respect that.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. And I think that is
But
this.
the
We're now at
captain didn't
stage.
ask.
No, actually, that's one thing that was nice to see about Archer, because Archer
He does ask, but he says you can
goes, "What
order
was
me.
it?" Yeah, he goes,
but
"You can order me."
You
to
don't
tell
want
you.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
you
he
don't
didn't
really
press
want
it, is what I'm trying to say. He left
exactly.
it alone.
Which, if you think about a couple episodes back, Archer would be all up his ass about it. So at
That's
this
true.
point, even Archer is starting to progress a bit. He's starting to understand, there needs to be a certain line. I have a certain job to do. I'm not here to play babysitter to everybody out on the ship.
Or to intrude on her privacy.
Absolutely.
And
It's a personal message. It's a personal message.
you can also tell too when Trip tells the captain it's personal, like he just sort of we made a mistake here. Why didn't she go through official channels, right?
Yeah, because the thought was that, she's chatting it up with the Vulcans again when she's already promised Archer that's not going to happen anymore. I'm part of the crew. I'm going to deal with you first, and then we'll deal with them if we have to, kind of thing. So it's nice to see that, even though Archer was originally thinking, okay, well, there's something fishy going on, he then gets kind of the redemption of saying, okay, well, you know what? No, I don't need to know about it. It's personal. And great. She's not a snitch like I thought she was, so that obviously brings her up. Basically, she gets put up on a pedestal at this point because it's like everybody is happy with her for the most part.
Well, this whole episode is why I think that this whole thing is, I think why she's part of the reason why she stays at the end is because they did respect her privacy as best they could, I guess. And I feel like, we haven't gotten to the end yet, but she feels like they need her to
They
survive.
do need her though.
They do. Absolutely.
And-
100%.
And she has grown an affection for this crew, especially Trip.
Is that your take, Dave?
Yeah, I guess so. That she's kind of like, they do need her, and I guess just the whole thing with her arranged marriage and everything else. What are the consequences if she doesn't go back? Her mom will be mad.
Well, the other family will be mad for sure. She's going to dishonor her family which does actually come up, I think, in a couple episodes from now, because they go back to Vulcan eventually.
Yeah, this
from
comes
what I
out.
remember.
Like this is going to play out, right?
This does
And-
play out later on, yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing I was wondering about a lot was like, what is the nature of like Vulcan and Earth's relationship, right? Because it's like, we're friends, right? Or are we frenemies? Or are we sort of?
Oh, I think we're supposed to be friends at this point, but I think they also feel that they need to babysit because we're new out there. We one false move and we're flying into a fucking planet. Like it's like these guys aren't that experienced, and it goes to show you that they're not taking things as seriously as like some of the later series do. Like they're making snowmen on a bloody asteroid. Like it's or a comet, I guess. They're making snowmen. They're having a little bit of fun because that's what this is. This is a mission that's of exploration. This is the first time out. These guys are all experiencing things new. This isn't monotony star travel like it is in the later series. Like Kirk I always had the impression that Kirk was kind of like, another day in the office, and eventually one of these days I'll run into a green girl. It was kind of like one of those things. Whereas these guys are excited to be out there, and every time they see something, like even you see the excitement right at the beginning, like Archer, like everybody, they're going warp 4.5 or whatever, and then all of a sudden they come to a halt, and he's like, guys, if you're near a window, get your ass to a window. On starboard, there's a bloody comet there we can see. Like he's excited about it. He's like a schoolboy. And you see most of the crew get up and they're all excited too, and they're all running to the window. So it's a different mentality. Like when we look at the original series, Kirk's already an established traveler. This isn't the first time they've been out, right? Like he's been out previously and various other things, but he's gone out farther now. But it's still the same idea, right?
Also, no windows on the Enterprise.
That's true. Yeah, this
Not
Enterprise
on the
has
inside.
windows.
They're all decorative on the outside.
On the 1701, they didn't.
There's
really,
a few, but not
they were
many.
green screens, but whatever. What can you do?
Jody, just
Yes.
to add into that,
Always.
I think that the Vulcans feel a sense of responsibility also because, again, it was their first contact. They do. I think they have what was interesting about Enterprise, especially that first episode, is that they'd been on Earth for 100 years or whatever the timeline was. Yeah. And they've been mentoring them, they've been coaching them, and here we are now. We can't hold them back. They're like kids, can't hold them back anymore. We got to let them go to space.
Yeah, we got to let them ride the bicycle.
Right. So they put one of their trusted officers on the bridge, and from time to time they send one of their command ships to check
in on them, make sure everything's all right, see if they need anything.
And like any 18-year-old kid, you're going to be pissed off when dad shows up.
I call my 17-year-old and say, "Where are you?" every so often. Like it's the same idea, I guess.
So I don't know if it's malevolent or patronizing. I think it's just we want to care for their growth in star travel, I guess.
Well,
yeah,
and I almost get the impression. Oh, sorry, go on.
I think this Vulcan captain is annoyed and doesn't like them, but I think he's ordered to assist to make sure.
Like, why do I have to check in on humans? Like, come on, I gotta.
But that's another thing too, is that you've had like a group of probably Vulcans who've been on Earth for 100 years. They live a long time, and there's not a lot probably known on Vulcan about Earth and the people. So now, yes, they have these images, just like stereotypes probably, and they're being sent in to check on them from time to time. So
this guy,
there he is, right there. Yep. So, and you know what? I don't know the name of the actor that played this chap, but he does a great job. Like he literally is just so bored. Like he's you kind of get the impression he's bored all the time. Like,
Yeah, that dinner was very awkward. It felt
William
awkward.
Utay.
But that was the
Drink
whole
only
point of it.
water.
Yeah. No, we just drink water, and he's got, there's
I ate
Archer
dinner.
with his
I
iced
already ate
tea
dinner.
because he's always got his iced tea with him, apparently.
He's that
Uh,
asshole that comes for dinner and is already eaten.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
he's
be-
that guy. He's that guy. What a jackass. But anyway,
Yeah, I already
you know.
ate. So he's just looking at the food in front of him. He's like, it looks
yeah,
fine.
exactly. But you know what? I like the dinner scene, even though it is really awkward and it's hard to watch, but it definitely portrays exactly what's going on because Archer he's trying to be as nice as he can, and then he just straight out goes full on dick right at the end, which I like because at that point you are going to lose your patience. But this guy, the guy who Dave just showed, he literally is just he's just there, and I think you're completely right, Kevin. I think he's bored. He doesn't want to be there. This is a boring, monotonous assignment for him, and this is beneath him, and he really tries to portray it. He's like, I don't know why I'm even having dinner with you. Like, why am I here?
He even says during the dinner, I have little interest in humans.
Yeah.
Here's my question.
He's the babysitter that doesn't want to hang out with the fucking 4-year-old that wants to play cards all the time.
What
Like,
do
he's
Vulcans have an interest in?
Apparently
Well,
nothing. Oh, the
No.
Bolians.
The Bolians.
Bolians?
Well, the
Or sorry,
Andorians.
Andorians.
They definitely have an
Andorians.
interest in
Got
the
my
Andorians.
aliens mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay, Andorians, but
It's okay. I thought it was the same one too, and then I'm like, wait a
yeah,
second.
like
no.
what do Vulcans don't like? What do they spend all their time doing?
Science,
Meditating,
science, and lighting candles.
Spiritualism.
punitive spiritualism.
achieving Kolinar.
Achieving Kolinar. There you go.
You know your rebellions will only lead to punitive spiritualism.
There you go. Exactly. So, you know what? This is
But this-
again.
What did he swear? What did that guy swear at her? What do you think? What do you think he said?
Shanshat Tulara Kamosh.
What was
He was
saying?
like, get rid of them filthy humans or something. I don't know.
Was that like a slur? Do you think he said something bad?
It was probably a slur.
It
Yeah, I'm
didn't
guessing
sound
it's a slur.
good.
No, it sounded
If we're
very
picking
evil.
up on tone.
Yeah, just on the tone alone, you're like, nah, he's not being nice.
You don't think this was like?
Shanshat Tulara Kamosh.
That could be like, may you have a very nice dinner party later.
Or how did you get this gig?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have been
could
like,
be
why are you?
I pity you for having to deal with this or something.
Yeah.
It's probably
like
more
that.
along the lines of, how do you deal with their smell? That's probably what it actually is. More than anything, because they do bring up the smell for like 2
The smell must be intolerable.
smell must be intolerable. So, but
Or intoxicating.
well, it depends. Maybe.
He smells like pecan pie.
Well, and there is an episode. I don't think it's in the first season though, but there is an episode where T'Pol's like, "Yeah, I don't use the spray anymore." Like, she gets used to it, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, the drilling happens, and you know what? The drilling, other than making snowmen twice, there's not a whole lot going on there. We have Reed and Mayweather being and then Reed gets all excited because he gets to blow something up. He blows something up. They make a core sample, and then of course Mayweather breaks his knee or something because
Right.
Mayweather does 2 things really good, guys. He knows how to crash ships that are already landed, and he also knows how to break shit, usually himself.
Yeah, this is like this whole thing where they have to hobble back to the shuttle.
Yeah, and he's like,
Right.
this would be way quicker if we weren't wearing the suits. And then Reed's like, we'd freeze to death, you jackass. It's like,
God.
yeah, this is,
Yeah, I was like,
this whole like buddy thing going on right now is not fun.
yeah, it wasn't. It was like it looked fine like, visually.
And I'll tell you, these cracks on the 4K TV, they were not fun to look at.
yeah,
The CG cracks were not a lot of fun. But this scene looks good, but the other one,
this particular shot was all right, but like most of this, it was just like, okay, get back to your shuttle, and then he tries to take off, and again, I talked about it already, but he sank right into the ground again. Like he doesn't know how to take off. Like, those
Yeah, at this
shuttle
point, the
pods.
transporters are safer.
Yeah.
Than getting in a
But we don't
shuttle
use
with
the
Mayweather.
transporters a lot in this show, Kevin. If you
Yeah, but
come
they
from
also-
transporters, you're not going to get a lot of them.
I don't think they can afford to lose a lot of shuttlecraft either.
No, they only have 2.
This
So-
thing doesn't look too like sturdy. I gotta tell you,
What, the
It looks-
shuttle?
no.
It's a very crude elementary version of a shuttle. Yeah, which I actually like.
And how quickly did they take off those suits when they got into it, too?
Well, they just took off this part though, and then he started.
They
taking
couldn't
off the
wait to
shielding.
get that thing off. I gotta tell you, I
maybe
was like, leave your helmet on for a minute.
Are you insinuating something, Dave?
I'm insinuating that like they're in trouble here, and they're
Kevin's grabbing the bottle. We know we have a problem now. But anyway, so yeah. So this whole crash thing is good, but it does get us to where we need to be, which is Archer and his refusal to have help from the Vulcans. So they use their grappler, which is literally the most useless thing in the world. I don't know why they have it, but it is part of the spec of the Enterprise. Apparently even the 1701 had a grappler. I didn't realize that, but they never used it.
No, 'cause they had a track.
It's like the dumbest thing ever. Oh, we're gonna hit it with like a magnet.
Two
coupler. Two magnets. Like a one hit, one miss. He's like, well, you could probably do
What
it.
should do, and he starts to pull them up, and then they get caught on something because, like, who could have saw that coming? And then, at that point, that's when the Vulcans chime in, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, you guys need help with anything?" And then Archer's like, "I don't need your damn help."
And
Obviously,
in
I'm
fine
paraphrasing.
form, Archer risks his 2 crewmen.
Yeah,
Yes.
he
For his
holds on
own
until he's like, well, they'll die. And he's like,
But you know what? I'm glad they did this, because at this point, this is where T'Pol jumps in, and T'Pol
Yes.
basically says, "You know what? You really have to progress. You have to, you have to evolve a bit," which also shows that she's learning that as well, which obviously we see with the last scene. But at this point, she's basically telling, actually, it's literally happening behind me right now, but she's basically saying to Archer, "Look, you need to ask for help. This is a much better option. They have a tractor beam. They can make this happen in 2 seconds. We're done. Bada boom, we're going home." Right? So anyway, Archer kind of, grits his teeth a little, and he's like, "You know what? Fine." And then he asks for it. Right?
But to convince him to do it, she has to tell him that it'll irritate the Vulcan captain.
Well, she's
Like,
got to
it's-
use a little bit of a mind fuck with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like,
if she didn't
this was
say that,
actually-
he would have been like, "Nope, those crewmen can die." Like,
she's like, actually, you'll win because you'll be admitting that he was wrong about you.
Yeah,
So-
you'll win because clearly you are smarter than him because you used reverse psychology. Boo-doo, Scooby-Doo ending.
but anyway,
But-
strong scene. I think it's. I really
You know
like
what?
that they did that.
It's again, this is character development, and this is something that I like to see. It doesn't hurt to have it once in a while. So that's why I originally didn't appreciate this episode. I remember when this episode I first started playing it, I'm like, "Oh shit, it's this one," and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." And then as I'm sitting here, I'm like, "You know what? This actually makes sense. This is actually a good idea." Except for the classroom scene. The classroom scene's a little too long. I completely.
I
agree
liked
on
it
that.
at the beginning. I just thought it was too long. Like, and I like the idea
concept of it. And I like the fact that they went around to a couple different people and talked, and I get the whole reason why they got Trip, because Trip, the whole point is to show that Trip is kind of, he's feeling
It's
like
the
he's a
poop-
bit worthless
poop
at this point.
questions.
Well,
Yeah,
and it's
he's-
his nephew's class, so he's got to talk.
Oh, is it his
The
nephew?
poop
Oh,
question, sir?
Yeah, a poop question, sir.
Well, I like it
Anyway.
because, excuse me, you get you hear about the Vulcan culture again, and it really almost links into the original series with where they toyed with it with Spock,
Yes.
and you heard about the arranged marriages, but did we ever hear about it again? I don't think we did.
No.
And so
In Voyager,
you do have a
maybe.
connection going here.
Yeah, Voyager, we heard about it. Yeah, you're right.
A little bit, like just
Yeah.
a remark here or there.
Yeah,
With
but-
But I thought Tuvok had he referred to his wife as more of a good relationship. There was nothing.
yes, yeah.
But and she mentions early in the episode, I've only met this guy 4 times, but it's very much like the how the old Indian marriages worked, which was arranged marriages, and it benefits both families and all that. So we kind of get the idea that maybe that's what they do in Vulcan as well, is that this is a normal tradition. But she's really pressed here, and in a way it makes sense because she's worried about the fact that she's giving up essentially her faith or her her heritage, which that's a big deal, right? Like that's a massive deal to say.
Well, it's still a
especially-
big deal, even in original series' time,
Yes.
because Spock's father is so upset that
Oh yeah.
that Spock would not go to the Vulcan Science Academy, that he would join Starfleet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you still see this same prejudice in Vulcans going forward.
And that's I think I said it last week, but I think you really see how stubborn and obstinate the Vulcans are. Like they're not perfect by any means. And
but that's one of the things I liked about this series was the fact that in all the other series, we kind of get the impression that the Vulcans are like really not fallible. They're pretty smart. They're very intelligent, and they always do right. And we're now seeing the opposite side of that, or at least how they used to be, right? Which I like that. I think it's fresh. It's something that I would have loved to see a little bit more even. We don't really focus much on the Vulcans past, I would say probably about past the second season. We have obviously new enemies to deal with and stuff like that and all that, but we even have the Borg and stuff at one point, or at least a pre-made version of them. But it's overall, I like the fact that they did bring that in. And that's, again, I think that's part of the reasons why a lot of people really dislike this series is because it mixes things up a bit, a little too much for people's familiarity and for their liking. Right. So I think that's one of many reasons why they could hate it. Clearly there's other reasons. But I think that's one thing that we're all getting out of that as well. At least I don't want to talk for anybody, but I myself am for sure getting that out. But overall, we end this show with this episode with one final scene, which is T'Pol going for a piece of pecan pie, which is very subtle. We didn't have to go nuts about it. We just show that she's eating something that she literally 20 minutes ago in our time basically said, no, that is completely useless. You don't do that. There's no reason to do that. I have a figure.
It's just sugar.
It's just sugar,
she says.
But she's embracing the fact
Mostly
that
sugar.
maybe she's missing something.
Right.
And that's the thing that I like about it is she's exploring that. And
She's actually starting to get curious about something.
yes.
Turns out it's pecan pie, not comets with rare
Well, and
elements.
this isn't,
But
this isn't
Pecan pie.
wow. Who can resist pecan pie? Let's be honest. And that's a good looking piece
Not
of
me.
pecan pie. That's got to be at least 2,000 calories right there. Like,
Oh yeah,
that
sure.
thing's succulent to the point of it's
that's
it's
a real
exhausting.
piece of pecan pie.
Yeah, that's one that you sit down and you think that you might have to go to the hospital later.
It's like a butter tart, right? With some pecans on
That's a
top.
very big butter tart, yes, but
Yeah.
yes, essentially the same idea. Lots of sugar, lots.
Yeah,
of
that's not logical.
Nope, not logical, but that's the whole point is we're seeing her character now progress a bit more, which I really love. And actually she ends up being one of my favorite characters in this show. Her and Phlox are my two favorite characters in the show.
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
Hey,
far,
Phlox
hey,
definitely more, but
by the way, I think Phlox also has very good chemistry with most of the people he interacts with on
Yes.
this crew.
yeah,
Yeah.
which gets back to I think the reason why Archer picked him, because Archer needs somebody that's going to be able to deal with everybody.
Yeah,
And
well, as
Phlox
a
is
doctor,
kind of
he
that
should.
person. Yeah, he's got that personality though that really does kind of everybody is kind of flocks to him, I guess is maybe that's a pun there.
does he become more important going forward?
Yes.
Does he get more time in each
Yes.
episode going forward? Okay, good.
Yeah. They really tease him for the first season.
Yeah.
But he does get a lot like he's going on away missions and everything later on. Like he's I wouldn't say he gets to the point of the main cast. Like he's not always all the time. Like
No,
he's
but
very Crusher-esque. Like he
Crusher
does have some very
doesn't-
important things.
Bashir doesn't really get to that point. Like the medical is Bones
Medical
was
is
really
always
the
the
only
side.
one, and
Yeah. But Bones
Yes,
was
the
treated
Doctor
more
and
like
Voyager.
one of the three, right? Like they were the Three Stooges going down all the time, right? Like
Mhm.
it was pretty normal for that. But Phlox, I think, definitely does progress a little bit more later on, yeah,
That's
for
good.
sure. But it's more like Crusher though. He's brought in for certain reasons. He's not just there all the time. Like
Right.
he's usually when you see Phlox later in the later episodes, it's because he plays a good part in the actual event. That's
So he's not like
Yeah,
Bones.
he's
He
actually
just
in
hangs
sick-
out on the
He's
bridge.
actually in sick bay most of the time, unlike McCoy.
Yeah, he
That's
actually is a doctor who does his job. That's
Boys,
really
like,
what it is.
paperwork. Come back doing it.
He's smart.
Yeah. Speaking of jobs, guys, Adam has one.
I
And
have
that
one
is
job.
the fun facts. Oh, look at that, Dave! You are spot on
Right on
today.
it.
Right
Right on
on
it.
it. Cue and everything. Good
Yeah.
job. Good job.
All right, guys.
Let's get some fun facts.
So a couple things. This is the first episode of Enterprise that did not have Rick Berman or Brennan Braga writing.
Yes, thank
I
God.
did notice that when I went to update the spreadsheet, and it was
Which
When
is
you
pretty-
noticed that there was some character development.
well, it was Rick Berman and Brandon Braga for every episode till this one.
Yeah, exactly.
they need to sort of let go. I think that it still had 4 seasons. I mean, this is a pretty good show. So, you know what? I was disappointed. I'm going to say this right now, Jody, because I never did it yet. When this ended after 4 seasons and they announced it just before they should have started production, I was disappointed.
Especially when you hear what was going to happen in season 5. Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into that when we get closer to season 4. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was like they already had pretty much all the scripts for the next season done. And there was some awesome stuff in there.
They could come
That ended
back
up getting
and, like,
reused.
they could come back and like do them as like cartoons or something.
Some of the episodes did get reused. So I will say that
They could
Some of the
easily do like
concepts were
Enterprise
definitely
the animated series, make it canon, just like Star Trek the animated series. And
I don't know about that.
it's
Well, we're only 8 episodes in. I don't know if I want that yet.
all of those actors are still alive. and
Kevin's
you could-
still hanging in, so you know what we're doing good.
There you go.
I'm
That would be
getting into it.
interesting. Okay, anyway.
Good.
This episode features the Timur, which is the first major Vulcan high command starship seen in all of Star Trek. I don't know what that means exactly, because all of Star Trek, we've never seen a command ship.
We've never seen a Vulcan ship like that. Like
Not a command ship. We've seen a lot of the like Marauders.
We've seen like
and stuff
little
that.
defense things. There was like the 3 that like the Romulans destroyed, I think, in that one episode in Unification Part 2. I want to say, but
Yeah.
beyond that, not much.
Yeah, but weren't those like the garbage ships they had picked up in some junkyard or something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
They weren't like the top of the line ones.
But it's cool, like how there's like these really like long, sleek, arrow-looking ships.
It is a great looking ship.
with this like circular thing. What's that? What's going on with that? Like,
Well,
that's
and
only
the
a
funny
Vulcan-
thing is, if you actually
Reminds me of Battlestar.
Yes.
you know what it actually reminds me of? It reminds me of Obi-Wan's ship from the second. Well, I guess. It's
Aside from the
technically
circle.
the fifth. Well, no, because when he does in Star Wars, when Obi-Wan uses.
Oh, he
when
goes
he's-
away. He leaves that in space. Yes.
when he uses the thing, that's his like warp gate thing, right? So it kind of reminds me of that, which they might have stole it from, because that would have happened before that.
It's good
So-
though. It's interesting.
So, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yep.
I actually think this episode was nominated for something, but maybe.
Yes,
Adam will
actually,
tell us
I've got that coming. However, okay, this episode effectively begins a T'Pol Tucker personal relationship.
Yeah.
And its title is thus a double entendre.
Yeah, breaking the ice.
It's the first time that Tucker enters T'Pol's quarters and the first time she shares a personal information with him.
Yes.
The pecan pie she has in her quarters at the end of the story is the first time T'Pol is seen to eat unambiguously human food for her own enjoyment. Though she didn't eat it, it was there, however.
Would have been awesome if she had just picked it up like a pizza and just eaten it with her hand.
Just like toddler, just
I'm trying
threw it
this
right in.
hand thing out too.
Vulcans don't touch their food, right, or whatever.
Yeah,
so-
they don't touch their food.
So while this episode was nominated for an Emmy Award for the outstanding special visual effects for a series in 2002, but it lost out to the pilot episode Broken
To the
Bow.
pilot episode of the exact same series. Yeah.
Yeah, so they got it.
Imagine losing to the other crew that did the other episode. That's gotta suck. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some
Vulcans
cheer
don't
that-
touch food with their hands.
They don't touch food with their hands, Dave.
The bulletin board that was into Paul's quarters, seen in this episode for the first time, features a set of blueprints, which seems to be the bridge of the Enterprise. Kind of interesting.
Oh. Well, I guess that would make sense because she's got to establish herself.
She's like, "Where's my chair?" Right
yeah,
there.
she's like, "Where's my chair?" And who's that dude that sits at the front that doesn't seem to do anything, and he keeps breaking shit? Oh, that's
And why didn't
Mayweather,
they build
okay.
a wall between the ready room and the rest of the, the
There
conference
is
room?
a goddamn wall, guys. It closes when they need it.
Divider thing.
There's
like
a little
you're at
divider thing that slides
conference
in and
hall.
out. It's in the
This is a
blueprints.
curtain.
It's like
a
Carmen's.
hospital
It's like
bed.
a curtain, yes, but it's an actual wall.
You can just hear the curtain rings
Why are
ringing
we so
across.
pissed off about this? That's what I want to know.
Because
They
it's
could've just
stupid,
built-
Jody.
They could have just had a different
Whether
room.
it's the first ship, guys. They didn't know they were going to use a ready room all the time. It's not like
They
they were
knew.
like, oh, there's going to be a guy named Picard, and eventually he's going to have
Look,
every goddamn meeting in there.
Aircraft carriers have ready rooms. I mean, they should just, go
They
forward.
have a
with it.
ready room, but it's like a conference room. Like it's they're
They've
having
seen
a
Star Trek,
conference.
so.
It's around a screen. It just happens.
I
to be
need a ready
table.
room. I'm going to have a ready room in my house, and I build one.
Good.
This
I
is
want
kinda
you to
like
build
a
a ready room, and it better have a curtain.
Yes.
Anyway.
I'll leave you with this.
All right.
According to the prop requirements, this episode called for 2 different heads for a snowman.
Well, there
Yes.
you go.
There you
Well,
go.
that's true. There was 2 different heads.
2 different heads.
And I
the
take
head
back
without
my
the
original
Buccaneers.
comment. By the way, I take back my original comment because
What's that?
you think about the Apollo program, and
Mhm.
when we got to the moon and they were hitting golf balls and jumping up and down. There is a bit of playfulness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was actually well represented now.
Well, even if you look at our astronauts right now, like they're playing ukuleles up there, and
or wearing
and every
gorilla
so often they're
costumes.
throwing M&Ms around, like
and
it's-
wearing gorilla costumes. If you saw
I mean,
that,
even on
Oh,
the
yes, I've seen
NIV,
that,
they're having string quartets all the time. It's
yeah,
just
like
that they've
later on
gotten
it gets
more
really
boring.
shitty. Like later on, they're like, let's do string quartets. Like let's do like 5 hours of this.
You get boring when you have a holodeck at your disposal at any time.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm telling you right now, if I wanted to live between living on the Enterprise, like this Enterprise, and living on the D, I don't know if I want to live on the D because there's a lot of concerts, like a lot.
don't have to go.
You're not
And
forced to attend
but it's
unless you're a
almost like
bridge
they're-
officer.
It's a big
But
ship.
they're almost if you're a bridge officer, they're almost expecting you to be there all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, but
Especially
if
when
you're just
Data
a lower
decides he's going to
decker-
do another damn Shakespeare play.
or
If you're a lower
Scotch.
decker, you spend your time in the holodeck.
Yeah, that's right. But there's no holodeck on this yet. They don't have that technology yet. They've seen it, but they don't have it.
All right, so I'm going to hand over to Dave for our ratings.
All right.
Okay, all right. Let's get to the ratings. Sorry, guys. I was like, maybe I have a holodeck quote, but I don't.
We sound trumped him.
You sound charming. Okay, breaking the ice. Jody, what do you want to give this? Out of 10.
You know what? I don't want to go too high on it because I think there's a lot of faults in the episode, but it's also a good episode that establishes good character. So you know what? I'm gonna give it a 8. I'm gonna still give it an 8. It's not bad.
Adam?
I'm sharing that 8. I started off lower at the beginning of this episode, and once again talked myself into liking it more. So
I have that
8,
problem too.
8 for me. Yep.
I'm going a little lower. I'm going to go 7.5.
That's barely lower, but all right.
Yeah.
Kevin's always the one that I'm always interested more about.
Yeah, like it's up and down for me.
It's a boring episode, but it also does.
but
a
not
lot of
really
things
for me.
correctly.
It's just I just got to get over Scott Bakula, I think.
We all do.
I never will.
I know it's so tough. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 as well. It's
Okay.
good. I was entertained.
So that puts us at a 7.8.
Yeah, this has a 7.2 on IMDb. It's rated higher than Terra Nova.
Well,
Thank
that
God.
ain't hard.
Still the
Terra
worst
Nova
episode.
is the worst episode of the season.
Okay. Who you said this is a T'Pol focus episode?
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
totally.
Paul.
This is mostly T'Pol, yeah. T'Pol and Trip, actually, really.
Yeah.
I
You
think.
could actually say, well, don't
You
get too
can say
broad, but
almost everybody, really.
Vulcan,
Yeah.
Vulcan.
T'Pol, Trip,
Vulcans, and
Vulcan, I guess.
humans. I mean, anyway,
So
leave it to
apparently
Paul.
Birds and
Hoshi's not
bees.
really on this ship anymore.
Who?
What's that?
Hoshi, she's not really on this ship
Oh
anymore.
no, she was there to figure out that there was a transmission there for some strange reason, which I don't know
barely in this
why
show
the
so far, eh?
chief engineer of the ship wouldn't be able to figure that out, but apparently he couldn't. So I don't know.
I think they're trying to figure out what to do with her right now in this.
Right now they are. Yeah,
We need
later
to
on,
meet
she
some
becomes
new
more useful.
aliens that they don't understand for her.
Oh, that's coming up. Don't worry.
Yeah, but like
There's a lot of aliens in this show, actually.
They hadn't really had a dedicated communications officer since Uhura, who didn't like
Didn't do anything either.
in the original series. Like Kirk and
sang.
Spock are talking most of the time, so
Yeah.
like everybody else barely.
Well, they
gets-
haven't hit a desert planet yet, so that's the biggest problem. Once they hit a desert planet and they got somewhere for her to dance, then we're good.
Jody, what comes after this episode?
That's a very good question, Dave, and I probably should have paid attention to that. So let me find out.
Rumor has it it's called Civilization.
It is Civilization, Dave, and I believe that is actually, if I remember correctly, that is actually a Hoshi episode.
Why should we have a Prime Directive? I think this is the episode we start
I
exploring
think
that.
this is the episode. Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, that might be interesting.
Let me just bring it up right now. So Captain Archer and his crew disguise themselves as aliens while on an exploratory mission to an Earth-like planet where Archer enjoys the company of a female alien. And spoilers, she's not green.
Neither are any of the aliens that Kirk goes after.
That's true. I know it's such a stereotype that doesn't happen. But I think Hoshi does have a pretty good part in this episode from what I remember. It's been a while.
Here it is.
Yeah, this is like it's a pre-industrialized civilization of about 500 billion people. And they beam down and observe, and they dress like them and everything. So, and disguise themselves like them. Where I think is where Phlox comes in.
That's a big swing.
What's that?
They went from doing comets to observing like a whole, like doing like covert anthropology.
Well, they found out that
good.
They found out that the comet wasn't all that exciting, Dave.
Well, they fell into a hole.
Archer thought it was pretty cool.
Well, Archer
Big ball of ice.
cool.
He said,
Yeah,
"Well, look at that."
For sure.
We might as well follow it for a couple days.
Now,
But you know what?
if you're not looking at a window, you better look out the window for the big.
But
I mean,
Dave,
Deep Space Nine went from whatever episode is before the Muse to the Muse.
That's
oh
true.
yeah, that's true. That Muse was
Things go up and
God,
down.
that is a terrible episode. I don't know how anybody continued to watch that show after that episode. Anyway, Dave, you know what's cooler than an asteroid?
What's that?
The other things that we do on this channel.
On this channel, like we talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine
Exactly.
at 9ish every
At
Tuesday
9ish.
night.
Yes.
We got new episodes we're talking about them all in order. We've been doing this since 2020, now into 2022. We are starting season 5 tomorrow with Apocalypse Rising.
Nice.
Great episode.
That is a good episode.
We did this
Season
radio
5, I think,
theater,
is probably
too.
one of my favorite seasons of DS9. There's a lot of good episodes.
The best is yet to come. Here on Star Trek Deep Space
What's the
Nine.
name of the lounge dude?
Vic Fontaine.
Vic Fontaine.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming up. Lots to come. Dominion War is going to be happening. We are now getting into the thick of it. We have gone through the sludge of the early seasons.
I like to call it battle Cisco years.
Yeah, like where it's gonna get real. Where it's be like Commander fire torpedoes. Like there's gonna be a lot of stuff like that.
Wow.
So D Space 9 at 9ish every Tuesday. We talk about the next episode, and then in the new episodes, we are right now talking about Star Trek Prodigy, which is continuing its first season. We were talking about the newest episode, which is going to be called Amok Time, or Time Amok. No, it's called Time Amok because Amok
It's
Time.
got to be Time Amok Time because Amok.
Yeah, it's the
Amok
backwards.
time is-
Anyway, on Thursday, January 20th, we're going to be talking about that. Davin Scalehorn, Jessica Chan, and I covering the newest episode. As right now, Star Trek Discovery's 4th season on hiatus. I've been talking about that with Adam Woodward and Michael Chan. for
Adam
many
Woodward. I
weeks.
know that guy.
I'm missing that. I've been missing that for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been gone. Well, I've been filling
Are you
that void with
seriously
Prodigy.
saying you have more fun on that show than you do with this one?
They're equally good, Jody.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought you said.
They're
There's
different
a dad
because
right there.
one's a rewatch and
I
one's
have a feeling
one's a new
Kevin's
one.
going to be the new co-host.
And then also coming, Discovery will be coming back in February, as well as Star Trek Picard is going to be starting up its 2nd season
I'm
in
excited for that.
February.
I don't
So
know
we gotta
why I'm
get that.
excited for that, but I'm excited for that.
It's coming for better or worse.
I
I've
know
been
what, honestly, it's
rewatching. I've been rewatching the original, and
I have
think I'm
too.
in
Actually, I started it because of you.
eight episodes or 9 episodes in now. I'm not hating it like I did the first time around.
I'm 3 episodes in, and at this point, I'm not hating it.
Are you liking that theme music, the intro music?
You know what? I like the theme
I don't
music,
mind the
but
intro.
I don't.
I don't mind the intro.
it's-
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually like the intro visual wise though, because it really shows you the man becoming a fracture of himself, and then kind of building himself back up again.
But the characters on that. Okay, that's another
yeah,
thing.
this is another. That's another.
We're gonna be coming into Star Trek Picard. We're ready to talk about it, people.
I think we're going back for that one anyway, Adam.
And that's coming up.
Barely contain ourselves.
We can barely contain ourselves. So all kinds of new and old Star Trek coverage podcasts where we react to the episodes, talk about what we thought to it. Also, we do Star Trek radio theater on a sporadic basis. Right now, I am in the edit. I have started this edit for the Star Trek First Contact we did at the end of December.
I've been hearing that for like a month now.
I know, but I was ill, and then I'm bouncing back, and I started the edit. It's a lot. It's tedious.
You know what, Dave? I worship you, sir. You do a lot.
Thank you, sir. Likewise. But like it's going to I'm telling you, when I put this thing out, it's going to be amazing because
the end product is always worth the wait.
Guys, I'm gonna let you guys know now.
Are you planning on putting it out for the 40th anniversary of the?
No, I'll have it out this month. I'll have it out.
Okay, good.
Sure. Good. Yeah. And I went back and I retconned all the data stuff. Did
you emphasize them and make them the volume higher?
I just made them all data. I just went. It's because it was like, this didn't really work. So that's the fun part about post production. Is you can take those out. So that's been fixed. Anyway, so and then we have other stuff going on, like trivial debates.
There we go.
We got Davin Scalehorn hosting the next episode. The January episode will actually be in
February. We got a confirmed contestant now, do you?
Yeah, we got Chris Seymour. We moved the date out for him. I might just
Can we not get a better picture of Chris Seymour?
No.
There does not exist. That is the best picture of Chris.
It's a good picture, but like it doesn't really represent him correctly. Like, yeah, he's a goofy guy, but he's not goofy all the time.
Well, if he's frozen in a picture, he is.
Oh, I guess so.
Right. I can only hear Chris on the golf course in my head.
Is that what you meant to do? That was
Dave. That was good.
Dave, like I don't know how golf works, but that wasn't.
All I can tell you, the most fun I've had playing golf this year was being in the party behind Dave Mater. Because the amount of cursing I heard was incredible.
Oh yeah, well sometimes you have a good days and you have bad days out there.
It's true.
But I might just throw my hat in this trivial debates ring because
if you're gonna debate, I think I might debate against you.
Well, then you're gonna probably win.
We might have two confirmed guests right now.
Yeah, there you go. So
when is that? February 6th,
I'm not going to tell you who
February
I'm going to root
6th.
for though, because I'm a fan of both of you guys. So,
I
won't tell you who I'm rooting for, but
I'm actually afraid to have Davin be the judge because that guy is like out there.
Hard ass.
Yeah. Commander.
Commander.
He knows his shit. I was listening to the one that Ashley did over on his channel, which I'm sure we're going to plug in a minute anyway. So this is relevant.
Oh yes, and Locutor's a Trek. You should check out his Davin's Star Trek channel. Locutor's a Trek.
Great podcast.
Trivia. He does challenges.
Kevin's wife just.
Writers Room podcast pitches. He's got all kinds of different segments.
It was a fun episode to listen to. The trivia was great.
Yeah, I cleaned up over there.
You did win. It. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I guess I shouldn't give that away, but
yeah.
Well, Dave already did.
Oh, did he? Okay, good.
It was either Dave.
I
Dave
didn't ruin
it,
Davin. It was him.
But it was good. It was really good. So check out Locutors of Trek. Check out Davin's other podcast, X-Rated, the X-Men the Animated Series Rewatch podcast, where he's been going through episode by episode. He's now moved that into Tuesdays, I believe. And Super Mater Brothers podcasting will be coming back in February. I think our first thing is going to be Big Brother Celebrity 3, which is going to be starting up in early February. What about the Gilligan's Island podcast? I know, Sam, it's coming.
You know what? Coming. You could do 2 episodes in one. That would really move that along real quick.
Yeah, I was like, how many episodes? Someone told me it was like
3 seasons.
Yeah, I was.
You try to do one.
It's 3 seasons, but that's when they did like 60 episodes a season.
I was like, I got too many shows going right now. And
we gotta. You know what, Sam? We gotta get rid of some of the backlog here.
I have to get rid of a show before I can add one. So it's but
happy birthday, Sam, on what was it? 29th of January. So on 29th of January, which I don't think
Aquarius.
He's at Aquarius. Yes. 29th of January will be next Saturday. Or no, 2 Saturdays from now.
A week from
to your point though, there's 36 episodes in season 1.
Oh yeah, like that's when they did like 40 episodes a season.
You'd have to do like 10 episodes is one podcast.
If you started that next week, you would still not be done by the
I
time
know,
we're done this thing.
Yeah, it's good. We'll
And we
get
have
to
4
it. It's on the
seasons to go
list. It will remain on the list indefinitely. And also check out Eamon Mader's podcast, which he does under the pseudonym Sam Jerka, called "Let's Talk About Fighting Games," where you can find on Spotify, wherever you listen to your audio podcasts.
I like fighting games.
Yeah, you want to talk
And
about
yet
it?
I've never been asked to be there. I don't know.
I don't know. You got to talk to Sam Jerka.
What can you do? Anyway.
All right. That's it, I think. Do it.
That's it. All right. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, thank
Kevin.
you, Jody. Thank you, Adam and Kevin, and thanks for being with us. And what do you say, Jonathan Archer?
We miss Earth, but hearing from you makes us all feel a little closer to home. Captain Archer, out.
Wow, we even had that extra bit there.